Welcome everybody. How we all doing today? For those of you returning for another one of my videos, I want to say thank you. And for those of you who are new to my channel, this is Skelly by Nature. I am Skelly. This is my little sidekick Bobo. Don't mind him, he's tired after a long walk. But today's letter is T. T for tea and T for turkey tail. And today we're going to be talking about this wonderful mushroom that's called turkey tail. Now, turkey tail is probably the most common of all mushrooms that you're going to find. If you go out in the woods, you're most likely going to come across turkey tail. Even if you're not a mushroom seeker, I'm sure you've seen turkey tail. It's one of those things that it's everywhere. It's the most commonly found, as well as the most commonly researched mushroom out of all of the mushrooms. And let me tell you why. Turkey tail has great medicinal purposes. It is used in different teas and tinctures, but it's also being researched quite a bit due to a lot of the properties that it has, and as well as the medical benefits that we can reap from this wonderful mushroom. So as you can see in front of me, I have a whole bunch of turkey tail, and so the medical benefits of turkey tail is a very long list, but I'm going to give you some of the basics. So some of the basics is it's great for the support of good gut health due to the probiotics that are found. It's great for fighting fatigue as well as boosting the immune system. It's even known to even be being researched as far as going as fighting cancer. Right now there's been cases where breast cancer has been helps in recovery of breast cancer, as well as killing breast cancer. But it's also great for anti-inflammatory, as well as great. It's loaded with antioxidants as well. So it is a wonderful mushroom. It's not a mushroom that you're going to eat. It's not very edible. You can eat it if you want, but you'll see it's kind of a very hard, rubbery, leathery kind of mushroom. And so it's not one that has a very good palatable taste. So mainly what turkey tail is used is, it's ground into a powder most of the time, or made into a tea, or, like I said, a tincture. And so today I'm going to show you, how to find turkey tail, how to identify turkey tail. I'm going to show you how to make a tea. I'm going to show you how to make a tincture. And then I'm going to teach you that when you take the two of those and put them together, we make what we call a double dose tincture, or a dual extraction tincture. And the reason for this is because when you do a hot water extraction, you're removing some of the elements from it, mostly the polysaccharides. And when you do a tincture, you're removing some of the other elements that are found in it, as well as the triterpenes. So let's get started with turkey tail. Its common name is Termetes versicolor. It has a couple other polyporous versicolor, but the reason it's called versicolor is, and I'll show you. Okay, so now, as you can see, I've got you really close up to some of the turkey tail. And the one thing that I want to point out to you when it comes to identifying turkey tail is one of the first things that you're going to notice is the top. And you're looking at the top right now of the turkey tail. And as you can see, you can almost know why it's called turkey tail. It looks just like a turkey tail. And the scientific name versicolor, even though it has a ton of different names, the one thing that always sticks is versicolor. And the reason is because as you can see, there's a whole bunch of rings with different colors in it. So we've got, some nice blues and browns and tans in there. It comes in dark colors. There's some lighter colors like this right here. As you can see, it's some whites and some tans. And that's going to be the first thing that you're going to notice. And when you are looking for these, you're going to find these on dead sticks, dying trees. They're usually loaded right up the stalk. As you can see, when they do grow, you can kind of see how they grow clustered like this. They come in a little cluster. This is, all one piece that I took off, but actually each one of these is an individual turkey tail. And then as well as sometimes you'll find them just kind of growing single like this out of a tree. The main thing that you're looking for is the shape, how it's got the nice rounded shape to it. And they, like I said, they kind of resemble a turkey tail. Now, the other thing too is this is what we call a thin shelf mushroom, and as you can see, it's very thin. It's got a little bit of a fuzzy top to it, little bit of a hair to it, and then the bottom is usually. I picked these a little late in the season, but as you can see, the bottom is got little polypores or little pores in the bottom. I don't know if you can see those, but they're very small pores. That's why it's considered a polypore. And they usually have, either a white or a brown to a light tan color on the underneath. Usually, when they're fresh, they're white. As they start to age a little bit, they get a little bit yellow, and a little bit of browns. When they're freshly picked, they're usually pretty bendable. This is, they flex a little bit, but they're kind of real tough. They're a really tough kind of feeling, but rubbery. And that's how you're going to identify what you have as being actual turkey tail. There are other mushrooms out there that resemble turkey tail, like your false turkey tail. Sometimes you might get confused with, say, an artist conch, or there's a couple other mushrooms out there as well that do have kind of the top that looks like turkey tail. But like I said, if it's not thin, real thin, and growing on a tree in clusters like this, then you most likely don't have turkey tail. But you want to have, like I said, they want to be thin, and they want to have a light color on the bottom, as well as kind of a fuzzy, furry top to it. So, and you can find turkey tail pretty much any time of the year. They're good from, I tend to kind of look for my turkey tail a little later in the season as a fall mushroom. You can go as late as January. Usually, like the end of December and January is when they start to die away. But then what happens is they return right back in the following spring. So turkey tail is, like I said, something that you can find quite a bit any time of the year. So, and even though, like I said, this has got a little bit of, tan bottom to it, you're going to be looking for that white or tan color. So the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how we make a tea, and I'm going to show you how to make a tincture. Okay, so now we're back into the kitchen, and as you see, I've got some of the turkey tails sitting here in front of me. Now, the first step that you're going to want to do is we need to dry this turkey tail. Basically what we're going to be doing is, right now we're doing the first step, which is going to be doing the tea. Like I said, we're going to be doing a dual extraction. We're going to take these turkey tails, we're going to simmer them in hot water for a few hours. and then we're going to be removing that. We're going to have a tea left over, and then we're going to be taking the same turkey tail and we're going to put it into a alcohol extraction. Okay, so the first step that we need to do is we need to dry these out, and we can do that in multiple different ways. I've had the time. I actually prefer to just let them sit out in the air, and within a week or so, they're usually pretty dry. Because what we're going to want to do is crumble these up and make kind of a powder. If you don't have the time and you want to put them in your oven, the best way to do is put them on a tray. Put your oven on as low as possible. I know everyone's ovens are different. My oven goes down to 110. I usually put them in there. I keep the door open just a crack, and I let them. I think when I've done it in the past, I think it was like 2-3 hours. But usually you get them to a point where they're pretty brittle. You'll hear them crack, the crack state. So then the next step that we're going to do is we're going to want to clean these, separate and clean these. So as you see, a lot of my turkey tail is in groups, and all we're going to do is we're just going to split them apart and get them broken up. It doesn't matter if they go into small pieces. We're going to be, like I said, we're going to be breaking them down and turning it into a powder anyway. Our next step is going to be cleaning. And so what I do for cleaning wise, you're going to see that, there's going to be, little pieces of moss, some dirt, maybe piece of bark. So what I like to do is, here's a piece of turkey tail here. I take them over and I just give them a quick brushing. Brush off whatever dirt you can brush off. If there's anything else that you see in there as well, I'll take a knife and actually I can show you with this one. And then once I get it somewhere where I think it's clean, I'm tossing it in my salad spinner. But for instance, right, so here you see there's a lot of moss and tree bark, and I'm just gonna kind of scrape through whatever it is, and like I said, don't worry if there's just little pieces falling off. I'm gonna give it a good scraping, get whatever heavy stuff off I can get. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean these and get these in the salad spinner, separate and clean these, and give them a good wash. Once I finish washing them, I'm just going to put it back out onto a towel and give them some time to dry. And that is my cleaning process. Okay, so I'm back for the next step. And as you can see, I have here in front of me a tray. Like I said, I washed these up real good, and then dried them. And what I did is, my next step is, I just cut these into pieces. You can just take a pair of scissors, or if they're dry enough, you can just snap them and break them. But we kind of want some, not big pieces, but they're about an inch. The idea is, as we're doing the tea, which is what we're going to be making today, first, we want to have a good amount of surface space. The more surface space we have, the more extraction we're going to have. Now, so we have our tray here. The other thing that I have is, I have 2 cups of water, and then I have a scale with a little cup. So my next step is, what I like to do is, I pretty much do 1 ounce to every cup of tea that I'm making. So I'm going to be doing 2 cups of tea. So I'm going to be looking for 2 ounces worth of turkey tail. So one of the reasons why we're making this tea is, again, if you're looking to use this for medicinal purposes, one of the big things that they're doing all the research on is whether, because it does have a lot of anti-cancer fighting compounds. And the biggest compound is, so I've got 2 ounces there. All right, there's my 2 ounces right there. It's about that cup. One of the main reasons is what we're looking to do is we're looking to we want to extract basically the compounds that are water soluble. Mainly what it is beta D glucans, which are basically special polysaccharides. Now these saccharides are basically, they're sugars, and they're compounds that interact with our body. And in other words, what the polysaccharides will do is, so we're going to pour this 2 cups of water in. And so basically what the polysaccharides do is, in simple form, is they go into our body and they mimic toxins, which allows our immune system to boost up and be ready for these toxins. So the reason why they're linking a lot of this research or to cancer, you know, things like breast cancer, colon cancer, blood and lung and stomach cancers, is because these polysaccharides go into our body and they mimic the toxins. Same thing with radiology. If somebody's going through radiology, it helps neutralize the radiology, you know, the effects of radiology, and things like that. And what it does is it neutralizes toxins and detoxifies our body, which helps us remain obviously healthier. So we got our water on. I just turned this on high, and now I have a thermometer. Now, it's always nice to keep a thermometer around because this is, again, we're making a tea, but we're going to be doing a long simmering process. And when we're doing this extraction, we really don't want our water to be going over 160 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm guessing that's 160 degrees. That's, you know, roughly 85 degrees Celsius. And the reason is, you know, again, we're not looking to boil a tea like we would. We're just looking to do an extraction. And, you know, once you start going over that, we can start burning. And what we're doing is we're actually doing damage to some of the compounds that we're trying to remove. So, again, keep your eye on that thermometer and make sure you don't go over 160 degrees Fahrenheit. So we can go right ahead. And we're going to put our mushroom in there. And what I like to do is just get it close to the temperature. Then I turn my stove down pretty low. You know, mine I go almost to the basically very, very low. And we're going to try to keep this as low as possible. And then what we're going to do is we're going to let this simmer. Anywhere from 4 to 6 hours, and just let it, you know, allow that hot water to do the extraction for us. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then what you want to do is, you know, every 15 minutes, half hour or so, come and stir it up and give it a little stir. Okay, so I'm back. It has now been 5 hours I've had this simmering. So now the next step is going to be, obviously we need to, I got a coffee filter here, I've got my cup, I've got my strainer, and I actually use a candle, an old candle holder, and that's how I do my little setup here. So the next step that we're going to do is we're going to drain this tea out, and we're going to use a coffee strainer to gather the turkey tail. So as you can see, I'm going to pour this right in. It's that nice brown, nice golden color. So now that I've poured that out, I'm going to let this drain. And I'm going to get myself a piece of parchment paper. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this drain out. Once the liquid's gone through the filter, I'm going to take pieces of the turkey tail. I'm going to put it in the coffee strainer. I'm going to squeeze out whatever water I can squeeze out, or tea. And then I'm going to place it onto the parchment paper down here. And it is now 6 o'clock p.m. here in New England. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay the turkey tail out, and I'm going to let them sit overnight so they can start to dry. And then what I'll do is tomorrow, I'm going to continue this and show you guys how we do the tincture portion. But we're going to be using the same turkey tail. And the reason we want to let it dry out is because we're going to actually make a powder. And then do our tincture extraction, or the alcoholic extraction, with powder. Okay, so that's another, like I said, that's why we started with the tea first. Is the tea, you can have bigger pieces and it works a little better that way. So I'm gonna finish up doing this, and I will see you guys all tomorrow. So good morning, everyone. How are we all doing? So are we all ready for the final steps of our little Duel extraction? So what we're gonna, as you can see in front of me, I pulled my turkey tail pieces out, put them on my tray, and let these dry overnight. They're all pretty dry. They're all shriveled up. You can see they're real small. So the next thing that we need to do is we're gonna take these and we're gonna make them into a powder. And we can do that multiple ways. One, if you get a coffee grinder, you can do it that way, or you can do it the way that I'm going to be doing it. I'm going to be doing it with a pestle and a mortar. And so we're going to do that. So that's our next step. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll catch up to you guys with the next step. Okay, so as you can see, I have my turkey tail all ground up. It's okay if you get some pieces. I mean, the idea here is just to maximize our surface. That's going to make for a better extraction. So the next step that we're going to do is we're going to now start making our tincture. And the reason we're making the tincture is, so with the tincture, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be drawing out the non-water soluble compounds, plus we're pulling out the terpenes. And then what we're going to do is, when we're finished, we're going to be able to combine the two of them together, and that's how we make our Duel extraction. So this step is very similar to just making the tea. We're just going to take this. So I'm using a 90% mineral spirit. You can use a vodka. Is good to use. Just try to do something that's a little on the high end, like a 90 proof or higher. So like I said, I'm using a mineral spirit, and I'm gonna turn my stove on to the lowest possible setting, because again, we do not want the temperature to go over 160 degrees, for multiple reasons. One, we just don't want to boil off that alcohol, and we're also looking to not burn anything. So we're going to throw that in there. I'm just going to give this a little stir. So what you want to do is really keep your eye on the temperature. We're going to let this go for a minimum of 4 hours. You can do anywhere from 4 to 8 hours. It's up to you. Obviously, I think you get, after 4 hours, you get the majority of the extraction. But if you want to go 8 hours, you're not going to hurt anything as long as you keep that temperature low. You might burn off a little bit more, so it will concentrate your tincture more. But yeah, so I'm going to go on 4 or 5 hours or so. I kind of really judge by my temperature. And so I will see you guys in a little while once this is done. Okay, so the tincture is done, and so now the next step we're gonna do is we're gonna do the same thing as the tea. I've got my cup here. I got a strainer up here, and I'm just going to pour my mixture in. Now I'm just gonna let this drain through, and once the liquid drains through, then I'm gonna take my pieces and I'm gonna put, like the same as before, I'm gonna put my pieces into my strainer, into my coffee filter, and I'm gonna squeeze out whatever I can squeeze out, and I'm gonna keep doing that until it's done. Okay, we ready for the final step? Now what you're gonna need for the final step is we have our tea here, and we have our alcohol extraction here, our tincture. And then the other thing we're gonna need is you're gonna wanna have a bottle, like an amber bottle or a cobalt bottle, something that you're gonna put the mixture in. We're gonna do a 50 to 50 ratio. So 50% tincture, 50% tea. And then if you have to put it in a clear bottle, that's okay. Just keep it in the dark or in a cabinet or something where it's gonna be dark. So the idea is we using a dark bottle blocks the sunlight from it going in. So I have a 30 milliliter bottle here. So I'm going to draw out 10 milliliters and pop it in. And then I'm going to do 5. Pop that in. Then I'm going to do 10 here. And then I'm going to do another 5. Okay, so there we have our double dose tincture. So the one thing that I like to do is after doing this, I put 2 milliliters of mint just to give it a little flavor, and I pour that in, and then we're done. So there we go. And once you have this, you can keep this in your fridge. It lasts for a very long time, and you can keep it for a long time. And then you can use your tea or mix it up or do whatever you want to do with this. You can drink, as you can see, there's more tea than there is alcohol. So, you can keep doing 50-50 ratios in separate bottles if you want to hand out bottles. If you want to put 50-50 in, do what you want. But you always have the tea left over. And you're going to, like I said, you have more tea here. So you can have the tea by itself. That's not a problem at all. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a little bit. Do me a favor, hit that like button down below, subscribe to my channel, and share this with anyone else that you know that might be interested in this. Or the other thing too is I'm gonna have plenty of this. I get plenty of turkey tail. So if there is anyone local around me that would like to try it before doing this, feel free, hit me up. I've got some free samples if you want. So feel free, hit me up and let me know. All right, until the next video, be beautiful, be awesome.